I feel like a rock star. I get to come back to the stage, except none of you were chanting for a second set. Kind of disappoints me, I'm just saying. I'm actually here to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is a retired naval aviator who can do more than say Roger, that, and barf on his shoes. 2 combat tours in Iraq in support of Operational Iraqi Freedom. He's a graduate of the United States Naval Academy and of Harvard Kennedy School of Government. He was awarded the Navy Commendation with a Combat V device for valor and an Air Force Medal with an individual Bronze Star for the heroic low-level altitude rescue of U.S. Special Operations Force from an overwhelming armored column. He's also been awarded 2 Strike Flight Air Medals, and his squadron won a Battle E for excellence in sustained combat operations. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Dequeljoe.
Good morning, everybody. This is the big day. I've been preparing for this speech for 6 months, every day writing it, because it's so important for me to save someone's life today. But I have to start off by thanking the people of Gig Harbor and Galloping Gertie, of all people, for reminding me how to do that. Because all my stories, I'll explain in a second, it doesn't make any sense now, but all my stories were just like any fighter pilots about how cool I was. But that's not really what's going to save people's lives. So let me explain. So Galloping Gertie, as chance would have it, we ran into this yesterday. It's a plaque dedicated to a bridge that collapsed about 100 years ago. And this bridge is called Galloping Gertie because when the wind would blow, it had a bad habit of undulating like this, so that when you could see a car coming, it would go away, and then here it comes. So this bridge wasn't like an Indiana Jones bridge. This was a stone bridge. And so that's pretty bad for a stone bridge to be undulating like that. So not surprisingly, this bridge collapsed. But instead of hiding this thing in shame, the people of Gig Harbor and all their bravery were proud about it and proclaimed it so that, in their words, other lives would be saved. So in the spirit of Galloping Gertie, I'm not going to tell you one of my cool flying stories today. I'm going to tell you my worst story. So, it was Iraq and nighttime and clouds. And we've been flying combat missions for about 4 months at a time, every day, 6 hours, up to Mosul and back. Our first combat cruise was really rewarding because we were able to save the guys on the ground, like that great introduction talked about. But on the second cruise, the rules of engagement had changed, and so we couldn't do much of anything except drill overhead. And you don't know frustration until you've been in a position to help but can't do it. That's a terrible feeling. So one night, it's a long story how it happened, but the Air Force tanker rotated into me and then rotated away from me, and I'm in starboard observation. This is way too much information. But in any case, I got vertigo and lost my bearings. And as his mic clicked, I knew I could hear the panic in the mic click because I was coming into his cockpit inverted, just like any good fighter pilot story. We were inverted. But this is at night, in night vision goggles. And so I hit the afterburners and just did an awesome flyby right by his cockpit. But that's not the bad part. The bad part was, in my mind, I had already decided that only loser pilots got vertigo. So therefore, I was a loser. And then even worse, my Rio said to me, that was a pretty gnarly roll there. We should probably head back to the carrier. What do you think? Do you think we should stay? And I said, without thinking about it, no. And that one moment has haunted me forever, because what if there were guys on the ground that needed me to save them and I wasn't there? And it may not sound like a lot. We ended up staying anyways because he said, wrong answer, we're staying anyways, which I'm glad he did. But that shame, right? He was like, Rob, good thing, right? That's why a wingman is so important, because he can kind of correct you and say, we're staying. So we stayed anyways, but I kept that story with me for 14 years before I told anybody. And anyways, let me move on because I don't have too much time, and I need to save someone's life, so I got to get busy with the rest of the story here. The point is, we all have things that we're ashamed about. We all have things that we feel guilty about, things that we could have done better in a split-second situation. And I see so many of my fellow brothers and sisters struggling with things in silence. And so if you don't have anybody to tell you differently, let me be the first to be your wingman and say that I love you. And on behalf of a grateful nation, welcome home. And you can be free from the prison that you've created in your mind of this guilt and shame. You can be free from the worry, and our nation forgives you for everything that you did do and for everything that you didn't do, because we want you to live the American dream. And for me, the sound of freedom is that young girl who sang the national anthem so beautifully. Every time I hear young children sing, that's the sound of freedom. That's what you fought to protect. So you deserve a good life, too. And to my 4 children, if by some miracle you hear this message, So, if by some miracle you hear this message, Daddy was lost at sea for many years, and it wasn't your fault. And I was too proud and too arrogant to go get help. I thought I could handle it all myself. But I love you and I miss you, and I hope every day that you forgive me. And in the meantime, I'm fighting hard every day to earn my way back home. So, all right, that's it. No more cheers. The rest part is hopefully inspirational. The last part is, if you're strong out there, and most of you are, and I love all your smiles, and thanks for the cheers, I appreciate it. If you're strong, you must lend your strength. And if you're a leader, you must lead. And if you are really brave, gather your courage and tell your own Galloping Gertie story, so that our brothers and sisters can be rescued from the chains that they're in silence, right? Because it's never too late to stand up and fight. It's never too late. And so, with all due respect to my new buddy in the back, Star-Lord, the Avengers may have been the finest fighting force ever assembled in fiction, but we are the finest fighting force ever assembled. So I know you know how to fight and win. You just don't know how to fight this yet. But all you need to do is decide that you're ready. And once you decide, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So decide that you want to fight and win, and you will. And my time is up here, but your time is right now. Good hunting.